For the first time, my dad and I go against each other playing by the Youth to Gold rules. Which, to remind you, is where you are only allowed to buy players under 20 years old, and from Season 2, you are not allowed to use players 30 or above. With the vision of signing up and coming youth players and selling them on for huge profits once they develop. However, there's extra added spice to this Youth to Gold because we are against each other. And there is a time limit of 13 seasons before the challenge will finish. However, there is an instant win scenario which I will get to in a second. But firstly, there are the points awarded for winning games against each other, finishing higher in the league, and of course, winning trophies. And for the first time to have an incentive of selling players, there are also points if you sell players that you have bought for huge profits. But as I mentioned, one of us could instantly win the Youth to Gold challenge before the 13 seasons is up if we win the Champions League with a fully purchased team. So with the rules being set, we just need our Youth to Gold clubs. And this is where we decided to go 5 years into the future before we picked, coming to the conclusion that there were 2 clubs in France that were perfectly equal for us to begin. And so our Youth to Gold journey starts at FC Lorient and FC Nantes. 2 clubs needing a new ethos with very similar facilities and also in similar financial situations. So let's get our Youth to Gold journeys underway. Upon taking over FC Nantes, Dad was made aware of 2 players that the club had already signed that obviously don't count towards the Youth to Gold rules. And although we had until Season 2 before the age limit took place, we were both already trying to sell our 30-plus-year-old players. That was helping us bring in money, and we were also bringing in new staff, especially scouts and a technical director, which will help run the club. And once those scouts were in, the first thing we did was both set up our recruitment focuses to try and search for players within the age range that we are looking for in different regions around the world. But I was a step ahead of Dad right away, finding players through attribute searching who are only 19 and free transfers and our first team quality already. It's important as well to constantly ask for more scouts to have as many scouring the globe as possible. Although Dad had jumped on the attribute searching method himself as well, and of course found himself his new #1 in goal in season #1 of the challenge. With that though, my scouts led me to an incredible midfielder from Thailand who was going to cost me less than £1 million. And at the same time as bringing him in, I also completed the deal of a 19-year-old free agent striker from Africa who again, my scouts are rating as first team quality, and I'm thinking of already making some drastic changes. Selling some of my first team attacking threats, including a couple of strikers. Meanwhile, Dad was also finding players to go straight into his first team. I wasn't done there though, and another example of my attribute searching working a treat is I went hunting for a left back and found a fantastic Canadian. Dad was also finding players too, spending big money using the money from players sold and installments. He also had a potential future striker that he decided he needed to loan out for first team football. But before I knew it, I was having to pick my first team for the opening fixture of the campaign. And of course, I have PSG. And this is a PSG side who have brought in Jude Bellingham as well as his Real Madrid teammate Vinicius Jr. on top of their already amazing side. And on the first game of the season, we managed to hold them off for a whole 6 minutes before they scored the first goal. But I wasn't the only one who had to play them early on in the season, as Dad's Nantes side also struggled to keep them quiet too. Right, Dad, we're at the start of the season. Season number 6, in fact, but our first year in charge of our new clubs for the Youth to Gold challenge.
Looking forward to this.
Absolutely.
Should be
so,
good.
we're in France, and as you've seen, I am at Lorient, Dad is at Nantes.
Yep.
2 very similar teams in 5 years into the future, and we're in fact playing each other next.
Yeah.
So we've had a summer in charge of our Youth to Gold sides. We've had a summer bringing in some brand new talent, and I'm actually really glad we decided to do this 5 years into the future.
Yeah.
Because it's
interesting,
allowed us to have loads of new players that we never would have signed. Now, of course, we've got 13 years to do this.
Ooh.
But if one of us does win the Champions League, that's an auto win.
Game over.
That's it. So that's kind of like a mini race. but there is a point system as well, and you'd have already seen the points. They're a little different to what we are used to.
Yeah.
Now, Dad Nancy, you've got a bit of an affiliation with them.
Yes, I have. Yeah, when I was around 28 years of age, I actually went to France with my local team and played on their pitch against their reserve side. So always had a little soft spot for me, and the players actually put us up in their houses. Had a lovely time over there, met some lovely people. So always had a little soft spot for the Nants.
And you never had a clue what they were talking about?
No. I used to go,
bonjour.
Yeah.
Oui.
That was all I knew was bonjour.
Okay, with Lorient, I have no affiliation to them other than I really like one of their players, and he is still at the club in Junior Groupie. So at 22 years of age, although he has asked to leave, 5 years in the future, he's still there for now, and hopefully I can keep him there until I need to sell him within the rules of Youth to Gold. As always, we've got until the second season before we sell the players who are 30 and above, because we've both got them. I've got slightly more, I think.
Yeah.
If we look at who's also 29 this season, will be 30 next year. So I got 5 players there. Yourself, Dad, you haven't got as many. You just got one that has just joined the club, though, in Javi Galan, because there was transfers that was made beforehand. You've also got your main goalkeeper there, and that has meant Dad has already had to go out and buy 2. So you can imagine how much he is already loving this challenge already. He's already had to buy 2 goalkeepers. So let's have a look at the summer window that you had, because you did have some money, not a lot.
No.
And you sold £16 million worth of players straight off the bat.
Yeah, I was quite fortunate because the players that were over 30, they were wanted. So
Yeah.
I thought now's the time to get rid of them, men, if they're wanted.
Well,
Get
yeah,
them right
take
out.
advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely,
Neither of us have 100% of our transfer revenue. In
No.
fact, you've only got 55%.
Yeah, that was the problem, really. But
Yeah.
I've got to get rid of those players. So
I have 75%, but you have more money to begin with. So it was very fairly contested between the two teams.
Yeah.
£8 million for what was the main striker last season.
yeah,
You got 8 goals.
8 goals. Yeah, so he wasn't that good of a striker.
No. And you also got £3.4 million there for a guy who was a matched a release clause. You didn't necessarily want to sell him.
I didn't want him to go. No. So,
No.
but yeah, can you? Someone comes in, matches the price. We do the same, don't we?
Exactly. Now, when you joined, all of these players here were already joining the club. So the likes of Muhammad Ali, Cho, and Javi Galan, as we mentioned, were deals done before Dad joined. It all started here, and it started with a goalkeeper. In Youth to Gold, his first signing was a goalkeeper. There's a bingo card right there.
And he's quite a good one as well.
He is decent.
This could be my keeper right through.
Exactly. So you can see that he turned 20 on the 10th of the 7th. But Dad completed the deal 7 days before when he was 19. Don't worry, I was watching. So 20 years of age, the goalkeeper signed. Very good goalkeeper indeed. Norwegian, £3.5 million from Brann. Already got 3 clean sheets. Then you signed a couple of Ukrainian guys.
Yeah.
18-year-old again, Serbin. Good attacking midfielder.
This one looks quite good, yeah. I mean, I might even lock this player in.
Yeah.
Get him used to the league straight away.
So not too bad at all. Then you brought in his friend, which is this man here. Another Ukrainian, 19 years of age, who plays DM. So you got 1 centre attacking midfielder, 1 centre defensive midfielder.
I think this one just needs a little bit more experience, but he's not bad for his age.
Yeah, he's been loaned out straight away to Bastia, so he's going to get himself some game time. Then we got Peter Ondrik. Again, because this is obviously quite far into the future, we've got a lot of new gen straight away that our scouts are finding. De Blasi, left back, £8 million on a left back.
Well,
he's good.
I lost my different left back tonight, which
yeah,
which sold out of my hands, so got this guy in. So yeah, quite pleased with this one.
Okay, Italian, 19 years of age, and then finally we got Nicholas Marietti for £1 million again.
Another goalkeeper. So
Goalkeeper got into the seconds.
Yeah, so that's my 2 keepers that I needed. So quite happy with
right.
that. 2 youngsters as well, so that's all right.
You're going to be set up then in a 4-2-3-1, and as you said, you're nailing in a few players, including the goalkeeper, including that Ukrainian centre attacking midfielder and De Blasi.
Well, I'm playing 2 attacking midfielders, so one of them was probably my best player that I've got in my team. So I might as well lock the youngster in beside him and see what they can do together then, isn't it? Yeah,
you've also got Renier up there. Paul Vitor is up there too. Striker-wise, I think you've got Muhammad Ali Cho is a good option, but he's not necessarily the best option for
He's not
striker.
brilliant, but
better off the left.
Yeah.
So there's some options there for future signings, but your main man is Morten Frendrup, who's kind of a ball-winning midfielder. He is fantastic.
Yeah.
especially for your team that you've got. He is definitely the best player in there. 27, so you've only got 2 years left before
to be
you
honest,
need to move him on.
I'm just looking at that. I'm thinking, if he has a good season, I could still get that 43,000, 44,000 million. Sorry, that's a big that's a lot of money for me, then, isn't it?
Well, only 20% of it.
I've got to change. Yeah, I've got to change that though, haven't I? I've got
20 million in it.
I've got to keep onto the board there and asking to get a bit more money out of that. So I can't afford to sell him while I'm only getting that.
Okay, so there's the 4-2-3-1 that Dad is lining up with. Let's have a look at the signings that I have made in my first season at Youth to Gold. I signed quite a few more players, but I did sell £27 million worth. And I sold Boulaye Dia, who went out for quite a lot of money, £8 million there. A few players went out for around about £5 million, just really making most of the play, because I had so many players who were 30 or above. I even got rid of some of them this season before I would have to next season. But I found a couple of free transfers to begin with. There's a really good left winger there, 19 years of age, Egyptian. Another Egyptian guy there who was free transfer at centre back, so they must have come in and...
Did you see how much he's worth now?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So £67 million
free transfer.
It's a free transfer. Then I brought in a couple of Thai players, mainly because I brought in Kiti, this guy here, but he wanted, as a promise, to sign one of his friends to help him settle in. So I went to the same club and I signed his mate who plays up front, and he's nowhere near as good, but it kept him from being upset, which only cost me 170k, and that is well worth it in my eyes. So morale is high still. This arguably could be the best signing of the summer, Omar Saul. He is phenomenal. Free transfer once again from Generation Foot, so he's got 5 goals already in 5 games, so really good free transfer there. Uatara, who I haven't really started using yet in that centre midfield spot. We got Mionic, who is a really good centre back. Other than that, there's a couple of players that you might not see a lot of. Marcus East, though, is a left back that I have brought in, Canadian. And as you've seen, I literally found him through attribute searching. That's how easy attribute searching can be. And he looks fantastic. Great physical attributes there, the 20-year-old Canadian. Then I've got a right back. He's the decent right back as well, Italian. We've got a couple of players here, one from Feyenoord who cost me a little bit of money. But other than that, the rest of it, I'm okay with, and was just bringing in and just filling out the squad, filling out the youth team. That's what you do with Youth to Gold. You bring these players in and just hope that they can eventually, obviously, fill out into world-class players like this man. I mean, I signed him at 19. He just turned 20 years of age. He already is a 3.5-star current ability left back, and he costs 225k. I mean, it's bargains like that you need to find and build them into world-class players. But tactically, I'm also going for a 4-2-3-1, and I'm nailing Nkiti there into that centre midfield spot. Let's have a look at the schedule then. As we've shown, we haven't played each other yet, but we've both played PSG. I played him in the first game of the season, lost 3-1. I also lost 3-1 to Lyon, who I think finished in the top 5 of last season as well. But then I got a nice win against Marseille, 4-1, Toulouse 2-0, and a draw away to Lille is always good. Yeah. So I'm really happy with the start of the season just before I played Dad. Let's have a look at how you've been getting on though. As we said, you also lost to PSG there, 3-0 away from home. But other than that,
brilliant start.
Yeah, and really only conceding 1 goal as well to Lyon. A nice win against Lyon too.
Yes, I'm really happy with this start. Yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll keep going.
Da Costa stopped you from making a tit of yourself against Brest. 93rd minute win there.
Job, you?
Every time. And then 4-0 against Toulouse at the end there away from home is a really good result.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we're both going into this game against each other with a bit of momentum. But it's season number 1 of Youth to Gold. It's about the long stretch, the marathon. That's what makes this series the best. Let's see what happens in season number 1. Of course, the next game would give us an early idea as Dad's Nats host my Lorient side. But if anything, nothing was revealed because there was only 1 goal in the game and it was scored by Junior Krupi. And while the good result against Dad helped me carry on with a good month, for Dad it did the opposite and started a bad run of games in which I then jumped into 3rd place and Dad into 7th. However, with it being so early on in the season, neither of us were thinking this form was to stick around. In fact, until the new year, I only managed to win 2 more league games, which was also the same for Dad, although he did win more points in this period, but we still found ourselves next to each other in the league, separated by a point. Unfortunately for Dad though, he was knocked out of the cup immediately on penalties. And after the winter to break, my Lorient side played in the 10th round where we put ourselves through to face Lyon, where once again it went to penalty kicks. However, we came out the right side of the result when Lyon missed. It was time for Dad and I to lock horns once again, and within the first minute, Smith was putting me 1-0 up. This was a lot more of a game than the first tie, however, and on the 17th minute, Dad found himself an equaliser. Disappointingly for me, we failed to take our chances, and in the second half, Paul Victor found space to score the winner for Nantes. One apiece in 2 tight games this season versus each other. We wasn't too disgruntled for long though, as we played our quarter-final tie against Strasbourg, and Sol was on form, scoring himself a hat-trick in a game, including the 95th minute to take the game to penalties that sent us through to the semi-finals of the Coupe de France. League form wasn't bad either till we got stuffed by Marseille, but that league table still seen us joint at the hip with Dad's Nantes side, with just that point between us yet again. And it was at that point that Nantes went on a bit of a run, and Dad's trust in Serbin in the number 10 role began to pay off, as he was scoring important goals, getting himself hat-tricks in the game, and even scoring winning goals in tight games to keep a fantastic run going for Dad, which seems to overtake me and put us both rising in the league table. While that was happening, I was getting destroyed by Dad's old mate Frank Kessie, as he scored 2 penalties and a 4-1 win against me in the semi-final of the Coupe de France. So as the season comes to a close, who takes the early advantage in Youth to Gold? Alright, season number 1, we're still really close, but we've managed to pull our teams all the way up into European spots already, especially for yourself, Dad, in 7th place. That's a cracking start.
Really pleased with that. I didn't think I'd be that far up already, so yeah, happy days.
I mean, there's loads of Champions League spots, which kind of means either PSG's won the Champions League, somebody's won the Europa League. It's allowed us to have European football next year.
And to be honest, I don't want to be in the Champions League just yet.
No. Yeah, imagine winning it. No. You're 6 points above me in the league there. You've got a better goal difference. Lost 9, as we've seen. We both beat each other away from home by 1 goal. It's a very tight affair when Lorient faced Nantes in both games against each other. If we look at the profile of the league though, Omar Sal, the free transfer that I had, scored 17 goals, which is second highest across the season.
Looking good now.
Junior Krupi was there with 5th in the highest average rating. It goes to show how tough this is going to be when you see the players that PSG have signed. They have Vinicius Jr. They have Jude Bellingham. This PSG team is absolutely phenomenal under Luis Enrique. So it's going to be even harder than what we thought it would have been. Just 5 years later, they have 2 of the best players in the world. They also have Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. So this is going to be really interesting to see how he develops and how much trouble he is going to cause us. Although we still got a year and a half of us being able to sign him.
What, for that much?
If you can raise £60 million, bringing in Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. might be a good option.
Definitely.
Of course, Kai Rooney's around. There's other players as well. So this is what's going to be quite interesting, is to see how quickly we can catch up to PSG during Youth to Go, because it ain't going to be as easy as what you think, especially with 2 of us going for those best players in the world. I think that's going to be the funny thing.
There, we're losing a game.
Games without losing 12.
When you look at PSG, we're only 4.
Yeah.
I was on a really good run at the end of the season then.
Absolutely. So Lorient then, we're on mine. How do we get on in the cups? Well, I got to the semi-final, so that's not too bad at all. Saint Etienne beat me in that semi-final. They come second in the
league, so they were good, really.
And they won the cup.
Well, there you go, So
yeah.
Chances are they probably beat PSG.
Yeah, so a little bit of a history here. In the 5 years that we were simulating, they had a new tycoon takeover, which has meant they have got stupid amounts of money. £170 million.
You see who their star player is?
I did, actually, before, So, Jesper Lindstrom.
His captain, sorry.
Tammy Abraham is the vice-captain, and Frank Kessie is the captain.
He's a boy, isn't he, eh? He just pops up everywhere.
They've got a great team here.
Yeah.
And Frank Kessie. Let's see then, Dad, how far you got in the cup. We know you didn't win it 9th round there, so not as good. So I got a little bit further in the cup. You got better in the league. But in terms of how we've been doing recently, your run at the end of the season was mental.
Yeah.
Really good. Even drawing to PSG at the end of the season there. So
They
really
were
good
probably
time.
already celebrating anyway, weren't they? So
Oh yeah, they probably won the league by a
Yeah.
mile. So it's not too bad, but let's have a look at the statistics then for our team. So you got, I mean, he's not even at your club. So the best goals that you had was Serbin with 11.
yeah, it's not good, is it?
Palvitor with 11. So, I mean, I did kind of allude to maybe your striker was the one weak spot that you
The only
had.
good thing is I'd loaned my key striker out, and
He's
he
got
done
15
quite well.
goals. And look
So,
at the development.
Yeah.
Oh, good development.
Yes.
Although, it might have been smarter to keep him at your team.
It could have been,
do
but
that.
But to be honest with you, I still finished above you, so I still got the points. So
Yeah, I mean, the guys that you did lock in, again, good bit of development on Serbin.
Yeah.
Really good. We're looking at De Blasi at left,
Left
back.
back.
Not too bad.
Good.
But the keeper,
Yeah.
that's
So-
where it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Giving them game time at the start.
So I'm pleased with that. Really, the left back and the keeper done really well, and that striker's done well for me. So
Yeah.
he's coming right back into the team now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of players knocking around our youth academy as well that might pop up that were already at the side. You've got £4 million, but 55 of that transfer revenue.
Yeah, so I can't afford to sell anybody.
Not
still.
a lot, no. Let's have a look at my statistics then. So if we have a look at the squad, 20 goals across the season for Omar Sal, Junior Krupi with 18, so both of them doing really well. Kiti was the only guy that I locked in, and he did very well indeed. Nice bit of development there. I think the one mistake I probably made was I should have locked in my right back that I signed. He only made 6 starts, and I think with a little bit more game time, we'd be a little bit further ahead.
He looks good there now, doesn't he?
He does, so I need to make sure I give him game time for next season as we go forth. But there's been a lot of good bit of growth in terms of the players that I've signed and what we have seen across the season. So it's a promising start anyway. I've only got £3 million as well, and I've only got 75% of the transfer revenue to be made. So again, we're kind of struggling in terms of that. There's a couple of players. I mean, this one's just come through my youth academy this season. Ahmed Diallo. Wrong position, if you ask me. Centre attacking midfielder for bad dribbling, bad finishing. But overall, he looks quite good. Training to be a centre mid might be a good option. So it's a cracking start to youth to gold. We've got some good talents coming through the door.
Yes.
We haven't got that much money, though. We're still going to be working our way through the transfer market. So this is going to be an interesting Season 2 summer. So the Season 1 points are Omega Luke with just 1 after his victory, but Omega Dad has 3 after 1 victory and higher in the league. All eyes now turn to the summer transfer window at our clubs.